Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Plymouth Food Aid Network meeting here in November. Wow, only 2 more left for the rest of the year. How fast has that gone? Well, we're very excited today to be joined by the lovely Jaki King. So Jaki, most of you may have heard her name, and some of you will have met her before. Jaki is the creator of our lovely Plymouth community map, and she's going to be giving a bit of an update. We've been working with Jaki over the past few weeks just to make some changes and look at the map and how it can work better, even though it's working amazingly, but what we can do to improve. And we've been coming out and talking to some of you and asking for your feedback, and that journey is going to continue, but we'll speak to Jaki in a while. Just before we came online, we were having a little chat with Eve at 4 Green, so I'm going to allow to introduce herself to, most of you will know already, but some of you won't, those of you that are watching on record. And Jaki, you asked a question, didn't you, so to Eve? So would you like to just introduce yourself, Jaki, and then ask Eve your question so everybody that's watching can have your answer as well?
Oh, fantastic. So I'm Jaki. I'm the founder of If Everyone Cares, which is a community interest company, and we created the ADoddle community maps. There are now over 100 across the country, and Plymouth was one of our first ones. So I'm absolutely passionate about what you do, and I'm really grateful to be working with you again on it. And more will come out in just a little while. But just before we came on, Eve was talking about 4 Greens and a project that they're working with called Food Sequel Health. And I asked to know a bit more about it. So Eve, I'd love to hear more.
Okay, so it's a project that's just kicking off. It's just starting now. Food Sequel Health is run by the University of Plymouth. Sorry, I've got something come up on my screen. And this particular part of the Food Sequel project, which is called Food Sequel Health, is going to be looking at, it's a feasibility study. It will be looking at 2 particular streets in the Whitley area. And in one of the streets, people are going to be invited to take part in a scheme whereby once a fortnight, they'll be getting vouchers to acquire fresh fruit and vegetables. And the other street are going to be invited to take part in the study, though there will be no fresh fruit and vegetables in that street. The idea being that there will also be people who are invited to take part. It's all very general, so nothing specific about a household, nothing like that. They'll be invited to take part in some biomarker study and some questionnaire study as to what their habits are, what they can access, how they make use of that at the beginning of the study, somewhere in the middle, I suspect, and then at the end of the study. And I think the idea of the study is to get a general picture of whether people's health has improved, partly because they might have been given fresh fruit and vegetables. The people in the other street will have access to be able to buy from the same company who will be delivering those fresh fruit and vegetables, and everybody in Whitley will be invited to take part in presentations and discussions around fruit, vegetables, around health, and that will be open to everybody, and it will go on for about 10 months.
Wow, I am so fascinated by that, because I love things about, Tammy and I had a conversation when I was down last time. I'm on something called the Zoe project.
Ah, right, okay, I've heard of that.
So I'm doing that, and so I've seen what my gut microbiome is, my reaction to the different bits and pieces, and the difference that increasing the number of different veg and things I've had, and fruit, etc., that I've had in my diet's huge. And it's fascinating. It's an absolutely incredible study.
Fantastic. I will let them know that. That's interesting to them, I think.
Yeah.
How many people have you got in each street, Eve, out of interest?
We haven't got that far. We haven't done the door knocking bit yet. The next step, which will happen next week, is to go to the 2 streets that have been chosen, just to make sure we've got all the house numbers correct, because as you know, you don't have every house number in a street, so it's just kind of laying the groundwork. The goal, I think, in a perfect world, the goal would be 100 houses. They'll be aiming to something towards that, and if I know Food Sequel, they will be adapting as they go along to ensure success.
Wow, that's going to be brilliant. Look forward to following that one as it's going, definitely. Jackie, would you be happy to give a bit of an update of what we've been doing over the last few weeks for everybody?
Yes, of course. So I came down, gosh, I don't know, 4-6 weeks ago, and met some amazing people at a few different venues, which was amazing. Tammy took me round. I just left on such a high, seeing what's being done down in your area. It's incredible. And we talked to a few people about the map, and we realised that quite a lot of the people who are using the different places, Manadon, the different places, actually didn't even know the map existed. And then actually within some of the groups, there was not a lot of knowledge about what it could do and the different flexibility that it had. So that was really interesting. But we asked a lovely group, were there about 4 people, and they gave feedback about some of the things they'd like to have updated on the map. Things like if you went to a profile and you could see where it was, but actually could you then click a button that would take you to show you the direction? So say take you to Google Maps, and then you could choose whether it was a bus route or walking or driving or whatever else, and you could choose that route. So we're doing that. Hopefully that might even be done by next week. So that would be really nice. Then it was thinking about that as well with directions. People said that not always directions weren't always the easiest thing. So what about some landmark photographs so that people could actually get an idea of the area where it was, and it would help them to find places. So that's another thing that's going to be done. I'm looking at my list. For the different organisations, the ability to have printable lists of information of what was going on and around. Now, we already have the ability for people to create lists, to create favourites, and they could be around the food aid or the warm spaces or whatever else, but the way they were able to be printed off wasn't in the format you wanted. So we're going to make the ability that you can actually choose which format you have. So there'll be a choice of at least 2 different formats. So one will be more like an Excel spreadsheet, so that it can just be printed off and that organisation can have that. So that would mean that somebody would create that list of those things. You can share those links about those lists, and then everybody's got access to it. And then they can choose if they need to print it off, or even if they want to make it into a PDF and send it to somebody via email. So saving paper, whatever, or look at it in real time. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to create some website graphics that will actually help people to understand what they're looking at on a profile if they're not very digitally aware, for digital skills and things like that. We've already made it that on the map, it's not just food aid organisations, it's also warm spaces that show on the map. And the warm spaces are outlined by a little yellow and orange sort of rim, so that you can tell that venue has got a warm space as well. So it might be food aid, and it might be food aid and warm space. So you can actually see that it's got the 2 things there. We're going to do some bookmarks so that they can be, left in different venues, libraries, wherever, that actually will link people with both a QR code. Tammy, I need to remember to actually put the PFAN URL on there as well, so that if anybody hasn't got a phone, they can look it up as well, not just QR code. Yeah, so have I missed anything? I'm dyslexic, and I'm looking at a list of bullet points, and I'm there thinking, which have I missed here? And we're going to get more feedback from it. But I've also applied as a separate thing to see what, from the lottery, we're not guaranteed that we're going to get it, to see whether I could do a digital skills around helping people to learn how they can seek help, not only from the map, but do searches on Google for other things that might not be on the map or whatever else. And if we're successful, I'd like to come down and do that in Plymouth and work with a group of people down in Plymouth so that it's available for you down there if we're successful. So yeah, anything I've missed, Tammy?
I think that's the main gist of it all. It was just, and we've been looking around, haven't we, and talking to people about how they work their way through the map. So when people are clicking, how many clicks do they need to make before they get to the place that they need to be? And how much information is too much information and is too little information. So it's really important that we're able to have these consultations with not just the organisations, but the end users as well. So that group that we're meeting tomorrow will be able to look at some of these changes and see how they feel from how they saw it originally. We're also looking overall at the PFAN website and how the map is easily accessed through that, and how it makes it. So when it's all done, we will obviously send a link out to everybody so you can see it all. But feel free to have a look at our PFAN page and see what you think. And please do give us any feedback. We need your feedback. It's your page, it's not ours. So that's really, really important. We also were looking at creating posters, weren't we? We talked to one organisation that said it would be really helpful if they could just have a couple of posters on the wall with links and QR codes. So we've got the bookmarks that people can take away, and then you've got posters that are permanent fixtures, so they can go into the wellbeing hubs, community centres, etc. With the links. We've also been in contact. I haven't updated you on this one yet, Jackie. That was tomorrow's job, but speaking to public health and the council about putting the community builders on the map as well. And so we've had a meeting, and so I just need to discuss that a little bit more with you. And obviously we've got the warm spaces, as you've said, and there is already a warm space map because that went already out to the city before we'd already started this process. But at the moment, let's have two maps, it's fine. And I'd much rather that people have the information twice than miss it. So
the beautiful thing about having two maps is actually you can get feedback from both, what works from one, because there might be something on the other one that works better, and you give us that feedback and we can make changes and everything else, or vice versa. Do you know what I mean? I've always said it doesn't have to be about ADoddle and what we do. The most important thing is that people find the access to this information, because if people can't access it, they can't find the help and support they need when they need it most. So it's about getting that information out to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Stuart, who's in the call, I was going to throw something out to you, Stuart. He loves maps. He's a map man.
I hate maps. I hate them with a plum. Because yeah, it still goes through the age-old fun. There's another one, Jackie. If you want to have fun, look at something called the Joy app. The social prescribers are really pushing all of that at the moment. I think, oh crikey, what do I say without offending everybody?
Can you just tell Jackie who you are and where you're
from?
Sorry,
we have met, Jackie, before.
Oh, have you?
Yes, we met when you were first putting this thing together. I work for Plymouth Octopus Project, POP, and my world is networks, which is kind of why I'm on the call today, because I try and always commit where I can, just to go what's going on, listen to what's going on, listen possibly where we can look towards. I suppose reference maps and POP. Okay, we've got 300 plus community organisations on our books, and those are up to date because we just basically told a load of them if they didn't renew, they've all renewed in the last 6 months. So it's quite nice that we know we've managed to get rid of about 150 who never actually answered us back. So that's kind of quite nice. Within that, I think at the moment, I think POP's concentrating more on helping the people like Tammy, for example, and things like that. And where can we find, how do I put this? Not so much creating a map for the public, but more about creating a map for people who are sort of supporting the public, if that makes any kind of sense. I take for that people like, linking in with the community builders who are making lists, what basically it's come down to, and it's been nicknamed something called the network of people who make lists for a living. So, you know, people like Food Plymouth, and Ian and I have had the long conversations about this with Tammy, with the environment networks, with the history networks, with the well-being clubs, the well-being hubs, with the community builders. All these people make lists for their particular expertise area, and they have to keep that list up to date because they are, you know, that's their job. They need to do that for their job, which means those are possibly the most up-to-date lists in the city. And actually, at this stage, just putting those people in touch to go, if you need a sports group, Di Carpenter is the man, because Di Carpenter is the person who knows where all those things. If we're looking at food, then we look towards Food Plymouth and the people where that list might be, more than actually making a hell of a list. That one to the public would be the ultimate goal. But again, like everything else, it's making sure it's up to date is my sort of thing in the end to do that. The Joy app, just for a bit of fun, Jackie, I was at an event, and if you obviously you're nodding your head, so you've heard of it. It interrogates their websites to make sure the current information up to date. However, in Pop's case, out of those 300, 200 of them only have Facebook sites, and Joy app won't work with Facebook because Facebook was going to charge Joy to interrogate, and they're not going to do that because they're a private company who wants to make a profit.
Yeah.
So, you know, I managed to upset a lot of people when I pointed that fact out to them. And they weren't overly happy. But it's, you know, we did that survey of our groups, and most don't have a website because they don't need one. They're not interested in it. You know,
Which is why we've done things the way that we've done them.
Yeah.
And because and I'm sorry for interrupting. There is
Go
so
on,
much
go for it now. I'm done.
I've spoken to the Joy app. The Joy app is more around making the money around doing that connection between the NHS, the social prescribing, etc., and doing that. They went down that route, but they won't help people. It doesn't help people to find help before they get to the point of social prescribing. So we've been in conversation a few times now with the Open Data Institute.
Oh yeah.
And they've said that what ADoddle does is the forward-facing bit for the people in the communities first. And so we were really pleased that that's been their reaction about what we've done. They want to see if they can link it through with Open Active and the other one, Open, that links people in again to social prescribing. Can't remember the name of it now. I was just on a call with them last week. But when you talked about those lists and every organisation having the different lists, what we're aiming to do through ADoddle is that if the organisations are on the maps, they can be favorited and kept in different lists. So you can create your own lists that you can either share with the public or you can keep them private internally, but you can share that link with other people so that that list is there. But on that list, you can choose to show the ones that are green that have been updated recently at the top. So you can actually choose how you do that. So you can create the list there, but from one resource. So from one thing, the map, if you've got the organisations on the map with their content, you can then create the list of those, and you can create the lists under whatever headings. So private people can make lists of their favourites, or people working in organisations can make lists of them. Because we were seeing that there were multiple people being paid to do the same job, to do with different things, and they were creating their own data set. And we were like, well, ADoddle can do that. You can have that one, in effect, data set, but pick out the bits that you want from it. Because community mapping in some areas has got such a bad name because it's so resource heavy, so work heavy. It's not lean. It's costing people money. Stuff goes out of date. So we were like, how can we turn that on its head and change it? But it does need the organisations to put their profiles on the map. That's the bit
and you know, a lot of them aren't interested in it.
but once they realise that that's how they're going to get known about, or say the food aid organisations in your area, if they know they're not on the map, they're not going to come to the attention of, say, Plymouth City Council or somewhere else, and it's going to be harder for them to get funding. They're soon going to get on the map and keep it green. Does that make sense? So it's about creating that new culture of everybody takes responsibility for their organisation. Or you could have somebody who works and does that, because we've got the ability for you to give permissions for people to update your profiles for you. But it was about bring it together in one way so it can be used for multiple things and multiple organisations, but it's people facing first.
Yeah, you see, and Pop's point of view, we're more groups facing. and we sort of cascade that. We don't, so with that one. We're working with an organisation called the Data Place at the moment. Ian knows very well about all those, Ian and Tammy, about some ideas about how we can do that and how we can interrogate other people's lists to bring together without it costing any extra work of the people who've already made those lists. So we're running a few trials at the moment about that. So that's interesting learning. But they're a really interesting group of people and things like that. And they've got a community head on. There's no doubt about it, which is really nice. Just on the other one, you talked about a digital learning how to use, I suppose, the internet and Googling. Yeah, there's a few going on in the city, mostly surrounded by around the what's called the wellbeing hubs in the city, where they tend to run them for people in their areas about basically how to be less tech scared, shall we say? Yeah, to do those. There's no particular badge per se, I don't think, in them. They've got good volunteers coming in and helping people with that one. So that's some of those are happening. Okay, yeah, that's it. Yes, mapping. Yeah, I try and avoid it where I can. But yes, it chases me everywhere. Thanks, thanks, Tammy, for dropping me in.
No, you're welcome.
No problem. No worries at all.
Jackie, thank you for the update. That's fantastic. We will, of course, continue to keep everybody. What I'm trying to do, because I know a lot of you, you will watch this recording, and some of you are on the WhatsApp group more than you have access to emails. So I try to copy as much information via that WhatsApp group. So you're still, you're not being left behind or anything. Unfortunately, we can't get everything over to WhatsApp because it's not always openable on that platform. So please do check your emails. But as Jackie said, the most important thing for us at the moment is that you do keep your profiles updated, especially with Christmas coming up and the winter period. Some of your opening times are going to be differing from your normal ones. So if you could just update those. And as I've said in the email, please just contact us or drop me a message on WhatsApp. And if you need a hand doing that, we will. I know Carl, thank you, Carl, because I know you'll be watching this, has already updated a couple of people that just didn't really know how to do that. And we also talked about some training, didn't we, Jackie, that about how people can access training on ADoddle. So, I mean, you do have the help guide there already for people to use.
Yeah, we have a guides hub. So when you're in there, you can actually go which is just guides. Oh gosh, I'll give you the link so you can put it in there. That's just typical me, having a blank space. I'll happily put on a workshop in the new year if you want, for anybody, or even before Christmas if there's a date there. But we do run free workshops every month. There's always one on how to add a profile, which covers updating it as well. And then we do one about something else. So it might be about lists, it might be about searching, it might be about how to make the most of your profile or something like that. And there are replays of past ones that go on. They usually last about half an hour, something like that. And then there's time for a Q&A. We always run them live, so that if you've got any questions, you can actually ask us. Eve's been on one with us. So we had lovely conversations, which were really good. And we're always happy to help. So, if there's something that you need help with, email us at hello@adoddle.org. And, if we can help you, we will. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Jackie. Really, really helpful. And it's exciting as well, because we're never going to be finished. We're never going to get to an end point. It's always going to be an ever evolving map, and that's the way it should be, because that's what communities are. They're forever changing, they're forever growing. Which is absolutely fantastic. While I'm sitting here talking way too much, I'm just going to share my screen. So I've been asked for, let me just open this up. Asked by Karen at Village Hub we had a conversation about lanyards. So this is one of the ones, and it'd be really nice if you could, can you see that? Can you see a photo? Yeah, brilliant. So this can be tailored to each individual organisation. I've just done theirs for now, so I've put their logo in. Would just really like your feedback, what you think, if this would be helpful to you. We can design them with your own logos. Obviously, we'll need you to send those. But what it just does is got the Food Aid Network logo down there with official member. So it just gives that little bit more clarity that people have asked for. So it could say volunteer food collector, or it could just say volunteer if you would like them as just volunteers, entirely up to you. What I'll do is when I do the follow-up afterwards, I'll just put the picture of that in there so people can have a look. I'll also share that on the WhatsApp group as well. So any comments on it initially?
You've got the old Plymouth Food Aid Network, not the most up-to-date logo on there.
Oh, that's because of Canva. So, but thank you, Jackie. I haven't updated the new one.
I was just suddenly looking at the different colours and the fact that you've only got 5 round there rather than whereas we've got 6.
No, thank you. I'm glad about that one. I picked the wrong one when I did it. But... So no, I'll change that one before I send that out. But
it's a great idea doing that.
We've got the information then, haven't you, for the organisation as well, and it just gives people, after speaking to a couple of organisations, I understand that there has been issues where people have gone into supermarkets posing as volunteers from various organisations, and the last thing we want is volunteers that are genuinely there for the right reasons to feel threatened or worried or anything in any way that they're going to be questioned as to who they are and they don't have any ID on them. So at least if they've got something that they can show, and we can verify that if we are contacted by the supermarket and say, yes, they are a PFAN member, we're more than happy to do that. It's not an official trademark. We did look into trading standards and the buy with confidence scheme that they offer. They are happy to discuss with individual organisations about them becoming members, and that wouldn't cost you if you're a charity or a not-for-profit, a food aid provider. It wouldn't cost you anything, but you would need to do that process and that application yourself, because you would then be responsible for your volunteers, whereas we're not allowed to be responsible for a third party's volunteer. So hopefully that makes sense. But if you need any clarity from that, again, you get in touch with me and I'll explain that a little bit clearer and in more detail. Ian, did you want to give an update on Kevin's email that came through about volunteer training?
Oh yeah, Kevin Tapscott, yes. Yeah, indeed. So I think it went out on the actual bulletin on Monday, didn't it? The bulletin with this link in, Tammy,
No, that hadn't come through yet, but it will go out on the, so there was the original one that he sent, but I think there's some newer dates on it now, so that'll go out on the one after this.
Okay, just bear with me a sec. So I've been typing away in the chat and sending you emails of information. So just kindly bear with me while I look that up, because do
you want me to share it? I've got it on the screen.
If you're able to screen share it, yeah, that would be even better.
That's fine.
So just while Tammy's loading it up, thanks for that, Tammy, is the this is from Kevin Tapscott from the Changing Futures Volunteer Network. And you might recall that a couple of meetings ago, Kevin came to that blended meeting we did from the Beacon Hub in North Prospect there, and spoke via the meeting owl device to you all. So he is from the Changing Futures Volunteer Network, which works along with Neil Minion and also with Martin Mills in that whole Plymouth-wide volunteering arrangements to make the most of opportunities for volunteers, really. So this is the next, and Kevin at the time spoke about the training sessions that were coming up. This is a new set of training sessions for the volunteers. I'd really recommend you look at these, because I think they're really high quality. I've heard really good things about them, and it's all the sort of things that to provide the best quality services and to run the best, be the best you can be as organizations. These are really good things to do. Benefits everyone, you, the volunteers, the service users. Everyone wins by it. Tammy, can you just scroll back to the top a second? So the specifics on this are that there's induction training sessions coming up. and they've got dates on there of Wednesday 17th of Jan and Friday 19th of Jan. Those are both afternoons. Can we skip on down then, Tammy, and see what else we've got? And then they've got a whole bunch of things they do around health and safety, drug and alcohol awareness training, wellbeing and signposting around that. And they've got trauma-informed practice training as well, which is Vicky Brooks leads on that. And that's coming up on the 24th of January, and that's 10 till 12. All of these sessions tend to be at the down at Hamo's house there in Mount Wise, which is a lovely place to train as well. So Tammy, just looking at that, I think it might need a bit of editing, which is what I did on it last time.
Yeah, I will do.
I'll do that accordingly, but we'll share that with you in the follow-up bulletin that goes with this. But I highly recommend it, and yeah, it's good for everyone. Yeah.
No, it's all right. I'm muted.
No, you're not, Eve. You are now, right?
I've muted her.
Just thought I'd warn Eve about that. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, so it's just a good way to go, really. I mean, I think the whole thing is it's this whole accent on quality, isn't it? You know, I know everyone wants to do their absolute level best, and we all do. So you know, I think all these things that bring quality to our work of well worth investing in, aren't they? On the other hand, also know you're exceptionally busy, but you know, it's finding the balance in that, I think. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's I'll just go rambling on, otherwise I'll stop there, I think. Thank you very much. Oh, can I just say, just going back to what Eve was saying about Food Sequel, I've put some info in the chat in that, and I've also sent it to Tammy to include in the bulletin as well. You might like to look at some work online via the website. So if you want to know more about Food Sequel Plymouth, go on to the Food Plymouth website and search for Food Sequel, and I've put a link in there because it's part of a major national program as well, led by the University of Reading, and I've put a link for that as well that you might like to follow on to get the big picture if you're a big picture person. So that's good. The other thing is Stuart has very helpfully put in the chat something around the warm hubs, you know, the warm welcoming spaces applications, which are due in, I think, on Monday. I think, Tammy, did we sent out information on that, didn't we, to the PFAN network anyway? But Stuart's just putting in a really helpful reminder letter. So again, I'll cut and paste that, and if you don't mind sending it out, Tammy, with a follow-up. I just know that you know, it's a really good scheme, that. So you know, if you haven't applied for that and you want to, please do so. And thanks for posting that in, Stuart, as well. That's very helpful. Stuart's also posted in about this evening's Community of Dragons Local Entrepreneurs Forum event. The spaces on that are taken in terms of the people that are presenting, pitching their projects. But again, if you've got time to, you know, and you would like to go along to that, you'd be very welcome to come along as either observers or encourager, supporter, dragon people to, you know, cheer those three organizations on. So thanks again for that, Stuart, as well. That's really good. Oh, and Stuart's now put in something about 250. He's very active, Stuart. This is very good. That's your £250 a pop scheme, isn't it? Do you want to talk about?
Still going strong. So basically, community groups can apply for a £250 grant. I'm going to say pretty much no questions asked. Within those, it's you basically write a paragraph, and I've put the link into where to go. Groups can go every 6 months to it at the moment, so it can be the same thing again. We're not that worried about those, so we're carrying on that scheme. We've been refunded for the next 5 years, so we're carrying on the 250 a pop. It does seem to be very, very well. I think we've given something like 30-something thousand pounds in the 250 a pop at this stage out to groups. We are also running the pop collectives again, but please have a look on our website about that. We have changed and adapted and done some learning from that point of view. So it's not going to run in a similar way. It's a little bit more targeted.
You want to
within those
explain
ones.
that a bit more detail, Stuart? We've got
Sorry,
quite a bit
yeah.
of time actually,
Pop,
so yeah, it's fine.
right, okay. Pop Collectives basically is a grant you can get up to £5,000, but it must be a groups coming together to do that, at least 3. So it must come together with that one. It's not so much about filling an application form and letting a bunch of experts decide. We are very much about, we have a gentleman called Simon whose job it is, for want of a better word, to make sure you get the money. So once you actually give him your idea, he will work with the collective group to refine it, to help it, to look at, say, look, this has been done over here, this might work here. He's a font of all knowledge within that sort of setup. And then we kind of throw it out to all the POP members, and basically they go, do they like it? Yes or no? They get a percentage. We get a number of votes for it, and then we give the money. Very simply, from that point of view. So we sort of get away from that sort of setup. Then again, we're trying to avoid mostly the form filling is what we're trying to avoid. And this is where, so for example, Simon will keep in touch with the team to very much look at the learning and how the project goes on. So he kind of writes the reports really in support of what's gone on. So we can then post this out to everybody else to go, look, this project's happened. It worked here. It had to tweak itself there. It did this, that, and t'other. So everybody can then pick that up and use that, use all the learning later on. So we sort of open source it all to everything else. And say it's all on the websites, all those blogs. But it's about, it's again, it's that collaboration. That's the bit we're really, really interested in, and we're really interested in getting the small, shall we say, the smaller groups. POP, having done a little bit of audit of itself, realised that 80% of its membership has a turnover of less than 100,000. And I think 50% of that is under 10,000. So we're really encouraging that startup, perhaps, of that end to go and support that side of things. And that's where people often, the whole project is just based out of volunteers. So they might not have the time to go and do to write Granby, to write reports. So this is where Simon comes in to actually make sure that really happens from that one. So it's that support going forwards from that point of view. So that's the collectives. We're going down that route as much as we can. And again, those networks, this is one network. You guys are all in various localities. There are lots of neighborhood type networks linking in with the community builders, are linking into these neighborhood networks, and all of that going on as well. Again, that collaborative setup. If we know more about what we are doing and going on, we don't have that classic, as Jackie said, I didn't know that existed. If we can avoid that and get rid of that, so people can have that idea of whether it's a football club, whether it's a warm space, whether it's a mental health support group, it's really easy to find, and somebody knows to be able to answer your question about that. That's the best way we want to get that and working together.
Yeah, that's really good. And so you can find out more about that via the POP website, can't you? Which is
it's all on there. You've got the Open Collectives too. Yeah, I'll put it in the link. I'll put it in the link now.
Yeah, that's right. But I'll say it on here if I may, because otherwise I'm cutting and pasting like mad here, but I might run out of time. Could you catch the chat anyway, Tammy, or does it go with the?
No, it stays. I get the information, so I can copy things out of it.
Oh, great. Well, just carry on this, Stuart. That's fine. That's just make more work for Tammy. But no, that'll be great. I'll stop cutting and pasting there. I just didn't want to get it lost because there's good stuff in there. But anyway, so the POP website is www.plymouthooctopus.org. And you've also got Imogen Potter as well, is very good on the advice side of things on grant writing and related things as well, Stuart, haven't you?
Yes, that is her job, is to help people get money. The official role is called capacity building. It's basically helping people expand, create new organizations and look towards money. There is literally, I'm looking at it now. Once you are a POP member, you have to be a POP member. Small groups doesn't cost anything. Bigger groups cost £5 for the year. Bear in mind, immediately you can go and get your £250 a pop, so you're already £245 better off. as a group. It says you can book an advice session with her online, and she'll start that conversation. She'll do funding searches. She'll be a critical friend with what is written. She'll give advice in those, and she organises a whole load of training, which there's a nice big tab on the website to do those courses on how to write reports, how to do those, how to write a grant bid, all of those things. And they're free to any organisation who's a POP member. We don't.
Stuart, do you still support people to write their social impact report? Because
Yes.
I know you did support.
Yep. Yeah, we do that. It's in our capacity building section. It's you know, if you're looking for funding, you're looking to how can you write a report. All of those things are still in there. Social impact is in there as well. Yeah,
No, that's
all
really
in those
good.
ones. No worries.
That's fantastic.
Great. And POP membership is free, Stuart, still?
It's no, not completely. It is it's tiered these days, I'm afraid.
Right. Okay.
I'm just trying to look if I can find the exact numbers, but generally speaking, to the small groups, it's still free of charge.
Yeah.
Here we go. So really free. If you're under £10,000, it's £5 a year. Under 100k, it's £10 a year. The biggest expensive one is £150 a year, but your turnover is over 5 million.
All right. Okay.
So we tend to
I'd
charge
love
the
to
big
be in that
groups.
category.
I don't know. It's a lot of accounting within those ones, but all of those you can immediately go in for a 250 pop thing.
Right.
So you can immediately get £500 a year if we're leaving you 150 out.
Yeah, so very, very reasonable indeed.
So all of those. It's just
services
helping us keep a better database of who's going on and what's going.
Yeah, of course.
So it just makes us more, we know what's going on a bit more. And, you know, as you say, it's just as Jackie says within that one, it's like who's still going and who isn't is really important now to do that stuff.
Great.
Final question, Stuart. Just when you thought you'd finished.
Yeah.
The collective funding. So if groups would like to apply to that, what's the time process of that?
Okay, hang on. I'm going to have a look now because Simon has rejigged it and I've kind of sat on the edge a little bit of it. So round 2 is, we've done it in rounds this time. So round 2 is closed at the moment. It's just closed. Hang on. 6 million. 6. So they're going to run, so basically every 2 months, because they're going to run 6 decision-making processes each year. So that's every 2 months. There'll be that one. So they're kind of going to do it. It's all on, and I'm going to go and put it into the, put it into there, put it into the chats, and there's a big explanation of it. And there's also a talk to Simon, because he'll happily have a meeting with everybody. That's his job, to make people get a really good bid together from things like that. So Invective, 3 or more POP members. You've got to have a yearly turnover under 500,000. Other organisations can provide support, bigger ones if needed. All the questions, it's all in. Lots of pictures as well, the explanations. It helps me.
So just to build on that with these, so Food Plymouth has acted in this current round that's just closed. I think as a full-on active partner in one of them, and then as a sort of supporter partner in 2 others, and I think it was the 2 ones where we were a supporter partner went through and have got the award, if my memory is serving. So and I think we're allowed up to 3 votes each round. Is that right? Or three of those?
I believe so. Yes.
That's it. So why I'm saying all that is, apart from for your general interest, is that if, for example, some of you wanted to come together and collaborate, on one of these collective bids, Food Plymouth could easily be a supporter, providing we haven't used our 3 votes up, our 3 options of support at that point. So if you're going to do that, it would probably pay to talk with Tammy and I don't know, 3, 4, 5 of you are coming together to do some joined up piece together, and then we can provide support and generally be helpful around that if that's of interest to you. So
and actually, having looked further on the single page, there are all the deadline dates are there already for 2024. and the explanation of when you've got to be, like, for example, the next one will be in next deadline, Friday, 19th of January.
Oh,
So that's for the
convenient,
next
yeah.
round. And it talks about, and it gives you exactly what the process will be within all of those times as well. That one. And also at the bottom, there's a whole list of everybody who we've awarded. So you can have a look at other projects that have done stuff. I can see there was one called Jubilani 2.0 that's got the word food going on in there. There's all sorts of things. Again, there isn't a particular theme, as in I can see history festivals, I can see storytellers, I can see a couple of sports ones, LGBTQ History Month, breast cancer care collective. Can't say that. I apologise. Something called Fellow Dragons, which is about art, youth music. I can see one, climate summits. So it's anything that's community based, really.
Yeah.
All those things are very much in there. So welcome to have a look at those. Oh, there's kites as well. I've just seen. Oh, that was the Respect Festival building kites on the Hoe. They had about 2,000 people or something in that one.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Huge
that.
attending that one.
Yeah, I remember this.
Those.
The other big thing on the funding front is that Matt Bell and others from POP have been doing a lot of work around this Dreaming Big for Plymouth proposal with the National Lottery and others, which is a really big long-term transformation type idea. And that is now being reactivated. I've said that Food Plymouth will do whatever it can to be engaged in that. We've been engaged in the past and work with that. I've said to Matt, because food is one of the items, considered to be a key factor in that potentially, and obviously Food Plymouth's ideally placed to do that, which I've said. And I've said to Matt that maybe work around food security in particular would be a good way to go as a sort of focus for that. Which of course it involves everyone on this call and everyone watching the recording and others. So that's at the really early stages at the moment, those conversations, but just to telegraph that to you now, and we'll keep you posted on that as it unfolds. And if you've got ideas on what that might look like, or offers to make, or asks, again, please make them through all the various channels we use. So it's not just me and maybe one or two other people's views on the matter. It's coming from you at the frontline level. That's so important. So that's keep you posted on that anyway, and please input in the meantime.
Yeah, I've just seen some words being written that I've been playing with Matt about some of that stuff.
Good.
Yeah, and I saw food security was mentioned.
Yeah, I've suggested that's a good focus. There's so much great work going on, around all of that. There's just masses going on, and so therefore to kind of, it's got a shape to it anyway, of course, but it could be almost like a future shape, let's put it that way. So lovely. Right, I'll mute myself again.
Oh, thanks, Stuart. That's really, really helpful. Well, we are coming up to about 5 to 11. So that hour went really remarkably quickly. So I think that's the updates that we've done for everybody that's watching online. So I'm going to stop the recording, but before we go, just to say thank you again for all of your inputs, for everything that we've done. And please do remember, this is your network and we're here to help you. So if you need anything, you know where we are, you know how to contact us. Please ask and we'll do the best that we can. And we look forward to seeing you next month, and the date will be on the reminder. They're on everyone. And have a lovely day.